Chosen one. Listen closely. Right now, heaven has stopped for you. This moment is not noise, not coincidence, not some random interruption. This is God Himself breaking through the distractions of your life to call you by name. You may have tried to escape that inner pull, but you cannot. When the Creator speaks, every other voice falls silent. Since the day you came into this world, you were set apart. That's why your life has felt like a battlefield. Others around you seem to move through life without resistance. But you carried weight that didn't belong to you. You faced storms you didn't choose, betrayals you didn't deserve, and valleys that felt endless. Yet even in all of it, you were not abandoned. Every scar, every tear, every night you wondered if God still remembered you. Those were the very tools He used to carve strength into your soul. Picture this: a bell hidden deep in a tower. For years it remains unseen, wrapped in dust and silence. But when the right hour strikes, its sound echoes across valleys, summoning all within earshot. That bell is you. Your silence was not wasted time. It was the setup for your sound. The appointed moment when heaven would say, "Now." You might be tempted to think your struggles disqualified you, but the opposite is true. The pressure, the crushing, the long seasons of waiting were proof that you were chosen for something weighty. Just as a diamond is formed under intense pressure and darkness, your hidden seasons have forged brilliance within you. And now God calls, not to shame you, but to summon you. Let me tell you the story of a young man, a true chosen one who spent years feeling overlooked. His prayers seemed unanswered, his efforts unnoticed. While others advanced, he remained in obscurity. But when the appointed time came, what others called delay revealed itself as divine preparation. The skills he developed in private became the very gifts that opened doors in public. What looked like silence was strategy, and when God finally called his name, no opposition could keep him from stepping into destiny. The same is true for you. From the book of Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 1, "Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine." Do you feel the weight of that? He did not just call humanity. He called you by name. This is not about your neighbor, your co-worker, or your friend. This is about your destiny. You belong to Him, and He is summoning you out of the shadows. Chosen one, the time for hesitation is over. You cannot keep pushing this off. You cannot keep waiting for a better moment. That better moment is now. Heaven has interrupted your day to deliver this word because your obedience cannot wait another season. If this speaks to you, take a simple step of faith. Like this message, share it with someone who needs to be reminded that God still calls names. And mark your agreement in the comments with the number 22, a prophetic sign that you hear Him clearly in this hour. And if you haven't already, subscribe so you never miss what heaven is releasing through these words. This is your moment. The one who formed you is calling your name, and nothing will ever be the same after you respond. You have always sensed it. Something about you has never fit the mold. From childhood, the evidence was already there. Others could move lightly through seasons, but you carried a weight in your spirit that you could not explain. You saw cracks where others saw perfection. You felt storms where others enjoyed calm skies. It is because you were marked from the beginning. To be marked means you carry a story bigger than your own. It means heaven stamped its signature on your soul before you even took your first breath. This mark makes you restless in places of compromise. It pulls you away from shallow waters and drives you toward depths few are willing to enter. And while that mark is beautiful, it also attracts resistance. Darkness can recognize a chosen one long before the world ever does. Picture a wall once strong, now broken by years of storms. To the casual eye, it looks like ruin, stones lie scattered, wood splintered, the structure abandoned. But to the master builder, ruins are not the end, they are the blueprint for restoration. You, chosen one, may feel like that wall. Life's blows have left scars. People's words have left fractures. Your own failures have left pieces missing. Yet what looks like ruin in your eyes looks like a project in the hands of God. I think of a chosen one who carried shame for years. He believed that because his past was fractured, his future was lost. But God does not discard ruins. He rebuilds them. One encounter with grace turned his ashes into a testimony. Today, his life shines brighter than before, not because the cracks disappeared, but because God's light shines through them. Long before you were born, the prophet Amos recorded these words, and they echo directly into your season today. Chapter 9, verse 11. In that day, I will restore David's fallen shelter. I will repair its broken walls and restore its ruins, and will rebuild it as before. Do you feel the promise? God is not intimidated by what has fallen. He is not repelled by the ruins of your story. Restoration is not just possible, it is promised. The very areas you thought disqualified, you will become proof of His glory. Broken walls are not the end, they are the starting point of divine rebuilding. This is why your struggles have been intense. Because God does not only plan to heal you, He plans to make you a restorer of others. He takes what was once shattered in your life and turns it into the blueprint to guide others out of their ruins. Like a mosaic, the broken pieces of your journey, when placed in the hands of the artist, create something breathtaking. Chosen one, you are not defined by the ruins you see around you. You are defined by the builder who has set his eyes on you. Your life is not a collapsed wall to be forgotten. It is a foundation being strengthened for what is to come. The mark on you is not just a symbol of survival, it is a seal of restoration. And when the time comes, the world will see not ruins, but a house of glory rising from what was once rubble. And when that house rises, it will not just shelter you, it will become a refuge for many. Those who once doubted will stand in awe. Those who once mocked will witness the glory. And you will finally understand, the very ruins that almost buried you were the birthplace of your divine rebuilding. The weight you have carried, chosen one, has been heavier than most could imagine. Silent tears have stained your pillow, and battles fought in secret have pressed you to your limits. People saw your smile, but they did not see the nights you wrestled with shadows. Yet even in those unseen struggles, heaven was watching. Your pain has not been wasted. Every sleepless night was recorded, every tear collected, every prayer whispered in the dark, written in eternity. There is a reason you survived what others did not. There is a reason you did not collapse when the weight was unbearable. You carry within you a resilience that is not of this world. Imagine a tree growing on the side of a cliff, against all odds. Roots dig into the rock. Branches stretch toward the sky. And leaves emerge despite the harsh winds. That tree does not thrive because the environment is easy. It thrives because it is determined to live. You are that tree. You have been planted in hard places. Yet your roots went deeper, and your branches stretched higher. The enemy thought the weight would crush you, but instead it has shaped you. The very battles that made you feel broken have carved into you the strength of a warrior, like iron sharpened by fire. Your character has been refined in the furnace of affliction, and now, what once felt like your undoing has become the proof of your calling. I remember the story of a chosen one who carried the weight of family expectations and personal disappointments. She cried quietly, believing no one saw. But the same God who saw Hagar in the desert saw her. One day, in the middle of her lowest moment, a verse leapt from the page and wrapped around her heart. It said that her weakness was the very place God's power would dwell. That night, she realized her suffering was not evidence of God's absence, but a stage for His presence. From then on, she carried her pain differently, not as a curse, but as a testimony. The Apostle reminds us in his second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 12, verse 9, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Oh, do you feel it? Your weakness is not your disqualification. It is the very place where God's power chooses to dwell. The weight you have carried is not the end of you, it is the shaping of you. Now, pause here. I want you to write in the comments, "Built to last." N, not as a casual phrase, but as a prophetic act. When you type those words, you are declaring that though storms raged and burdens pressed, you remain unshaken. You are proclaiming that every battle you endured was not meant to break you, but to reveal the unbreakable foundation within you. And you are testifying that your story is still standing because God Himself has built you to last. Your story is not defined by the weight you carried, but by the God who carried you through it. And what once broke you will one day be the very evidence that crowns you. And hear this clearly. When you declare, "Built to last," you are aligning your spirit with the eternal truth that storms cannot erase God's design. It is not just survival you carry, but endurance with purpose. You were not fashioned for temporary flashes of strength. You were crafted for consistency, for legacy, for victories that echo beyond your lifetime. That is the mark of the chosen, endurance that glorifies God. There comes a point, chosen one, when delay is no longer a neutral ground, delay becomes danger. You have felt the pull to act, the whisper urging obedience. Yet the temptation to wait just a little longer has lingered. Waiting feels safer. It feels easier to postpone, but every postponement carries a cost. Every "not yet" steals from the fullness of what could already be unfolding in your life. God's calling is not a suggestion, it is a summons. When He speaks, it is not for idle consideration, but for decisive response. Think of Israel wandering in the wilderness. Their hesitation at the edge of promise kept them circling the desert for decades. The land was ready. The promise was ripe. But their delay cost them time they could never regain. Delay is not just inactivity, it is disobedience disguised as caution. Imagine a seed held too long in the hand. The soil is ready. The season is ripe. But the seed remains unplanted. Day by day, potential decays. The seed was meant to break open, to release life. but hesitation prevented its destiny. That seed is like the gifts inside you. If you do not plant them, if you delay your obedience, the world will never see the fruit that was locked within you. There is a story of a chosen one who sensed for years the tug to step into ministry, but fear of failure kept her silent. She reasoned that waiting for the perfect time would protect her from mistakes. Yet each year that passed, her silence weighed heavier. One night, a dream shook her awake. She saw herself standing at a door with light shining on the other side. But the door was closing. She realized her hesitation was not harmless. It was costing her entry. The next day, she spoke with trembling voice but unwavering heart. And that single act of obedience opened doors she never imagined. According to what is written in the book of Proverbs, chapter 27, verse 1, "Do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring." Oh, there is urgency in these words. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. The opportunity you assume will still be waiting may close without warning. Mercy is patient, but mercy does not remain open forever. To keep delaying is to gamble with grace. You may tell yourself that you are not ready, that you need more time, that you will act once the conditions are perfect. But perfection is an illusion. God never called the ready, He calls the willing. Readiness is built in the journey, not before it. Think of Gideon, who doubted his own strength. Think of Moses, who argued that his speech was inadequate. Think of Jeremiah, who thought his youth disqualified him. Yet every one of them discovered that obedience brought the strength they thought they lacked. Chosen one, the edge you are standing on is sacred. This is not just about comfort, it is about destiny. You are standing at the cliff of decision, and the longer you hesitate, the more costly the delay becomes. Delay steals momentum. Delay dulle conviction. Delay hardens the heart until what once stirred you deeply feels like nothing at all. And so the Spirit speaks. Do not delay. Obey now. For every step you postpone, you surrender territory to the enemy. And every moment you hesitate, you risk missing the fullness of the day appointed for you. Voices of darkness have always recognized what many around you could not see. They tremble when you walk into a room, not because of who you are in the flesh, but because of the light you carry in your spirit. You may not feel powerful, but the atmosphere shifts when you arrive. You disturb what is hidden. You expose what cannot remain in the shadows. And the enemy has feared that since the day you were born, why have the battles been so intense? Because the enemy knew the weight of your calling before you did. He tried to crush your confidence, silence your prayers, and bury your voice beneath shame. But every attempt to suffocate you has only proven the resilience inside you. The fact that you are still here is evidence that your light is stronger than the darkness around you. Picture a candle in a cave. The cave is wide, the darkness thick, and the silence overwhelming. Yet the moment a single flame is lit, every shadow bends. Darkness does not argue. It does not resist for long. It simply retreats, because it cannot conquer even the smallest flicker of light. That candle is you, and you are not just a flicker, you are a flame. Heaven refuses to let die out. I recall a chosen one who lived through relentless opposition. Doors closed, relationships fractured, betrayals cut deep. She began to wonder if she was cursed. But one night, as she prayed, she saw herself in a vision as a torch in the hands of God. wherever he carried her. The torch burned brighter, and the fire spread to others. She realized then the opposition wasn't proof of a curse. It was proof of her calling. The darker the surroundings, the more necessary her light. The Word of God declares in the Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 5, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." End quote. This is the reality you live in. Your light is untouchable. Darkness may roar, but it cannot conquer you. Fear may whisper, but it cannot silence the fire placed within you. The world is desperate for the kind of light you carry. Because you are not a borrowed flame, you are ignited by the breath of God Himself. And now comes the choice, not from me, but from your own heart. If this light resonates within you, let it speak. Share it not because someone asked you to, but because a flame never hides itself under a bowl. Let your light stretch out. Let it reach someone else's cave. Press the like and share button as if you were handing them a candle in their night. If your heart whispers agreement, then leave your mark not as obligation, but as a voluntary declaration. You choose to be seen as a torchbearer in this generation. Write it by showing up, by lifting your voice, by standing unashamed. And if you sense this message is part of your journey to stay connected, subscribe not out of duty, but like one returning to the fire again and again, drawing warmth and courage from its flame. Think of yourself as a lighthouse on a rocky shore. Ships may never know your name, but your light keeps them from disaster. Your presence is quiet, yet powerful, and by shining, you fulfill the very reason you were placed there. No pressure, no demand, just the beauty of light choosing to spread itself. And in that simple act, you testify that darkness will not have the last word. Chosen one. There comes a moment when alignment with heaven must be sealed. This is not a game of chance. It is a covenant moment. To align is to say, I hear the voice of God. I recognize His timing, and I choose to respond. Your response is not about impressing people. It is about placing your heart in agreement with the eternal. The prophetic act of declaring with your words, or even through a symbol, may seem small, but in the spiritual realm, it resounds like thunder. Heaven responds to faith, not delay. Angels take notice when obedience is marked, and the enemy trembles when your agreement with God becomes visible. Think of a key placed in a lock. The key may look ordinary, even insignificant, but the moment it turns, a door swings open. That is what your act of agreement represents. It is the turning of the key. It is the shift from waiting outside into stepping into the room. It may feel like a small motion, but it unlocks something far greater than you imagine. There is a chosen one I recall whose life was filled with hesitation. He heard sermons, received confirmations, even sensed God tugging at his heart. Yet for years, he hesitated to outwardly respond. He feared that his words or his actions might be misunderstood. Then one day, he realized his silence was not neutrality. It was agreement with delay. That night, he chose to act. With trembling hands, he lifted his voice in public prayer for the first time. It seemed like a small act, but that moment became the doorway into his calling. From then on, everything changed. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 19. This day I call the heavens and the earth as witnesses against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, so that you and your children may live. No, this is the weight of your decision. It is not just about you, it is about your bloodline, your legacy, the generations after you. When you choose alignment, you are choosing life for yourself and for those connected to you. Your decision echoes further than you can see. Imagine a torch carried into a dark valley. One flame lights the path for 100 others to follow. That single flame becomes multiplied in its impact. In the same way, your act of obedience today may unlock freedom not only for you, but for countless others walking in your footsteps. And so, chosen one, here is the call. Mark this moment with a prophetic sign. Type in the comments the number 444. Let it be a covenant between you and God that you choose alignment, that you choose life, that you choose to be counted among those who walk in the light. Do not see this as a ritual, but as a living declaration. When you write that number, you are not just pressing keys on a screen, you are planting a seed in the soil of eternity. You are testifying, I will not delay. I will not hide. I will not shrink back. I choose to stand in agreement with the call of God on my life. Oh, this is your moment. Seal it with a number, and let heaven record your yes. And as you seal it, remember this truth. Your small act today becomes the eternal evidence that you chose God's voice. There is a door in every life that mercy holds open. For a time, it swings wide with grace, waiting patiently for the hesitant heart. You have walked near that threshold before. You have felt the invitation, and yet, mercy is not an endless window, it is a season. Every door has a hinge, and every hinge has a moment when it begins to close. You may not realize it, but your story has been preserved because of mercy. How many times could destruction have swallowed you? Yet mercy stood as a shield. How many choices could have cost you everything? But mercy covered the debt. It is not chance that you are still here. It is the door of mercy that has not yet shut. Think of a lantern burning through the night. It flickers as the oil runs low. Yet it continues until the first light of dawn. Mercy is like that lantern. It carries you through the night. But it is not meant to burn forever. The dawn eventually arrives. And with it, a call to rise and walk in the day. To ignore that call is to remain sleeping while the lamp grows dim. I recall a chosen one who lived reckless for years, thinking he would always have more time. Tomorrow, he told himself. I will change tomorrow. But tomorrow kept moving further away, and the door grew smaller. One night, he dreamed of a great gate, slowly closing, and he was still standing on the outside. He woke with a start, realizing mercy had been extended, but his response could not be delayed forever. That dream saved him. It became the moment he stepped through. The ancient words recorded in Romans chapter 2, verse 4 remind us, do you show contempt for the riches of his kindness, forbearance and patience, not realizing that God's kindness is intended to lead you to repentance? Mercy is not weakness. Mercy is strength restrained. It is God's kindness holding back what justice demands, giving you space to respond. It is the pause before the final note, the silence before the curtain falls. To take mercy for granted is to mistake patience for permission. Imagine standing before a closing train door. You hesitate, telling yourself you have a little more time. Yet, in one sudden moment, the doors seal shut, and the opportunity passes. That is what it is like when mercy is ignored. Not because God desires to shut you out, but because seasons cannot remain open forever. You have been living in the gift of extended mercy. Every breath is proof of it. Every morning you wake is another invitation. But the Spirit whispers now, do not waste what is still open. The door of mercy swings wide, but it does not stay so forever. Step through while there is time. The difference between regret and rejoicing often comes down to a single choice made in the window of mercy. Those who step through the door discover freedom, restoration, and life. Those who wait too long feel the weight of chances lost. Chosen one. See this door clearly. It is before you now, not tomorrow. Do not let it close with you, still on the outside. For once the door shuts, it will not be human hands that open it again. What you have in this moment is sacred. A divine pause given for your sake. Treat it with reverence. Do not gamble with grace. Step through now, and let your life become the testimony that mercy was not wasted. Prophetic dreams and signs have followed you, though at times you have dismissed them as coincidence. But there are no coincidences in the life of a chosen one. God speaks in many ways through whispers, through scripture, through encounters, and often through visions that slip into your nights. What you thought were random images carried messages meant to guide your steps. You have seen glimpses that felt too vivid to be mere imagination. A road stretching before you, a house filled with light, a door closing while another opened. These were not fragments of thought, but fragments of prophecy. The Spirit has been sending you signals, each one a piece of the map leading you into destiny. Think of Joseph, the dreamer in Egypt. His visions were not entertainment, they were revelation. Though misunderstood by his family and forgotten by men, his dreams carried the architecture of nations. What he saw in the night became the plan of salvation for multitudes in the day. The same is true for you. The images God plants in your spirit carry weight beyond your understanding. I recall a chosen one who dreamed of standing in a dry valley filled with cracked soil. She wept in her dream, feeling hopeless. But suddenly, rain began to pour, and flowers sprang up where there had been only dust. When she awoke, she understood. The dry season she was in would not last forever. Within months, breakthrough arrived exactly as the dream had shown. That vision became her anchor when circumstances tried to break her, as the prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk. Chapter 2, verse 3. For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. Prophetic visions are not empty promises. They are previews of what God has already written into your story. And though they may seem delayed, heaven's timing is never late. The images you carry are seeds of the future, planted in the soil of your spirit until the right season arrives. Imagine a compass hidden in your pocket. You may wander through unknown paths, unsure of your direction. Yet when you pull out the compass, the needle always points true north. Dreams and signs are that compass. Even when the journey feels confusing, they quietly redirect you toward purpose. Do not despise the signs you have received. A conversation that came at the right moment, a scripture that leapt from the page, a word from a stranger that pierced your heart. These were not accidents, they were divine markers. To ignore them is to ignore the road signs on a dangerous highway. To heed them is to walk in safety toward destiny. There is a reason you are sensitive to these things. You were designed to perceive more than the natural. Your spirit is tuned to frequencies others overlook. Where some only see dreams, you see direction. Where some dismiss coincidences, you discern confirmation. This sensitivity is not a burden, it is one of your greatest gifts. Chosen one, what you have seen, what you have heard, what has stirred you in the silence of the night, treat it as holy. These visions are not imagination, they are invitations. Pay attention, for the map of your future has already been drawn, and heaven is making sure you do not lose your way. There is a tension you cannot escape. Chosen one, the choice between crown or chains. Every day, life presents paths disguised as ordinary decisions. Yet each one bends your destiny. One road leads deeper into compromise, comfort, and captivity. The other calls you higher, demanding surrender, but ending in glory. It is not easy. Chains often feel familiar. They come in the form of habits, of voices that tell you, stay the same, of cycles you've already survived 100 times. They are heavy, yet deceptive, convincing you that safety lies in repetition. But safety in chains is still slavery. You were never designed to walk bound. The crown, on the other hand, demands courage. To reach for it is to lay down pride, to break cycles, to let go of what has kept you small. Crowns are not handed to the unwilling. They are given to those who dare to say yes when everything inside them screams no. That is why so few ever wear them. But you are marked to reign, not to remain shackled. Consider Israel standing at the threshold of the promised land. Before them stretched a land of milk and honey. Yet behind them lay the memory of slavery. Some preferred Egypt because it was predictable, but Joshua and Caleb chose the crown. They refused to let fear or chains define their future, and because of their courage, they stepped into inheritance. As the prophet Hosea declared in the book of Hosea, chapter 11, verse 4, I led them with cords of human kindness, with ties of love. To them I was like one who lifts a child to the cheek. This is the heart of God. His ties are not chains of oppression, but cords of love. Where the enemy binds with iron shackles, God draws with tenderness. He does not enslave you to fear, He crowns you with kindness. I remember the story of a young chosen one who battled addiction for years. Every time he tried to break free, the weight of chains pulled him back. But one day, he saw himself in a vision wearing a crown, and he realized something powerful. The chains were not stronger than the call, only louder. That realization sparked his decision to surrender fully, and from that day forward, the crown began to replace the chains. Now, I ask you to do something simple yet prophetic. Type in the comments, crown over chains. These 3 words are not just a phrase, they are a testimony. They declare that you reject the false safety of captivity and embrace the loving authority of the one who calls you higher. They proclaim that you choose tenderness over tyranny, destiny over delay, freedom over fear, chains or crown. The choice is before you now, and in your spirit, you already know the answer. And let this be clear. Chains do not simply fall off by chance, they are broken by decision. When you declare, "Crown over chains," you are making more than a statement. You are drawing a spiritual line in the sand. You are refusing to let what bound you yesterday dictate your tomorrow. The crown speaks of responsibility, authority, and destiny. It is not given to decorate you, but to commission you. It represents the trust of heaven, the calling to walk, not as a slave to fear, but as a child of God, empowered to rule in love. The crown requires surrender, but in surrender you find freedom. And the beauty is this: when you wear the crown, others see it too. Your freedom becomes their invitation. Your courage becomes their hope. Your victory becomes the key for others to escape their own chains. In choosing the crown, you are not only stepping into your destiny, you are lighting the path for many who will follow. The rising army is gathering. Chosen one. It is not an army of swords and shields, but of surrendered hearts and awakened spirits. This army does not march with boots pounding the ground, but with lives that echo heaven's rhythm. And you, yes, you are being summoned into its ranks. All around the world, the Spirit is stirring those who have felt overlooked, out of place, or forgotten. They are being called out of caves of silence, out of prisons of fear, out of deserts of delay. They rise not because they were the strongest, but because they were willing. Heaven's army has never been built on human might, but on yielded vessels. Imagine a field of dry bones, lifeless and forgotten. Suddenly, a wind begins to stir, and bone joins to bone, sinew to sinew, until a mighty army stands where once there was only dust. This is the picture of what God is doing in your generation. What looked broken is becoming whole. What seemed wasted is becoming powerful. What felt dead is rising to life again. Or think of coals buried under ash. To the casual eye, the fire looks gone. But when the wind blows, sparks ignite, flames return, and heat spreads again. Many thought your fire had gone out. Even you wondered if it was too late. But now the wind of God is breathing again, fanning the embers until you blaze with purpose. There is a story of a chosen one who spent years in hiding. She thought her voice had been silenced forever. But one day, she realized the silence was not death. It was incubation. The same way a seed lies buried before it bursts forth with life. She was underground only for a season. When her time came, she rose, carrying words that pierced hearts and shifted atmospheres. That is what happens when the hidden ones rise. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Joel, chapter 2, verse 7. They charge like warriors. They scale walls like soldiers. They all march in line, not swerving from their course. This is not just poetic language. It is a prophetic description of a people who refuse to be distracted, who move with unity, who know their place in God's plan. They are disciplined not by force but by devotion. Their strength comes not from themselves but from the one who called them. And now, the invitation extends to you. Will you stand among the rising ones? Will you let your life be a signal fire for others lost in the dark? This is not about being perfect. It is about being willing. If you sense your heart burning as you hear this, then let that fire show. Press like as if you are planting your flag in the ground, declaring, I belong to this army. Share this message the way a soldier sounds the trumpet to rally others to the cause. And subscribe. not out of habit, but as a personal vow that you will return to the well again and again, drawing strength for the battles ahead. Think of it this way: every click, every act of agreement is like adding another stone to a wall of faith, another flame to the fire, and together, those small acts become a great beacon, a rising army, shining in the dark. This is your hour. The army is rising, and heaven is waiting for your yes. There are seasons when God hides you, not because you are forgotten, not because you are unworthy, but because hiding is preparation. The hidden place feels lonely, misunderstood, even frustrating. Yet it is in that very obscurity that some of the deepest work is done in your soul. Think of David, anointed as king, but sent back to tend sheep. The oil was already on his head, yet his throne was nowhere in sight. To those around him, he was still just a shepherd boy. But in the fields of obscurity, David learned the language of worship, the discipline of courage, and the intimacy of trust. When the giant stood before him, he was ready, because he had been hidden. Or picture an arrow resting in a quiver, hidden, motionless, unseen. To anyone watching, it looks forgotten, but the archer knows the arrow is not neglected. It is being kept safe until the exact moment it is needed. That arrow is you, hidden, yes, but forgotten, never. I recall a chosen one who walked through a long season of silence. No recognition, no applause, no visible fruit. She questioned if she had misunderstood God's call. Yet during that season, her character was being forged. Her roots were going deeper. And when her season of revealing came, she discovered that the hidden years were not wasted. They were the very foundation of her strength. The writings of Isaiah, chapter 14, verse 2, describe it beautifully. He made my mouth like a sharpened sword. In the shadow of his hand he hid me. He made me into a polished arrow and concealed me in his quiver. What to be hidden is not punishment, it is polish. The sword is sharpened in secrecy. The arrow is refined away from the eyes of men. What feels like obscurity is actually safety, a place where God protects the gift until the right moment. Imagine a seed buried in the soil. To the surface world, it looks dead and forgotten, but beneath the ground, life is stirring. Roots are stretching. Transformation is happening unseen. And when the time is right, the seed breaks forth. Unstoppable. Your hidden season is that soil. What looks like burial is actually planting. Do not despise the hidden place. It is the womb of destiny. It is where God refines motives, strengthens faith, and silences pride. Many crave the stage, but without the hidden season, the stage will destroy them. God hides you to heal you, to shape you, to prepare you for the weight of what is coming. One day, the curtain will lift, the moment will arrive, the arrow will fly, and when that time comes, all the hidden years will suddenly make sense. What felt like delay will reveal itself as design. So, chosen one. If you find yourself unseen, unknown, tucked away where no one notices, do not despair. You are not forgotten. You are hidden in the hand of God, polished in his quiver, prepared for the precise moment when your name will be called and your destiny released. And when that moment comes, You will not rise timidly. You will rise with clarity. Every scar, every silent prayer, every lonely night will suddenly align into purpose. The strength forged in secrecy will flow out of you like a river, undeniable and unstoppable. The hidden season will then reveal itself not as wasted years, but as the womb of miracles. What once felt like silence will be remembered as the song of preparation, and you will thank God for every moment He chose to keep you unseen. Completion is a holy word. It speaks of cycles ending, doors closing, and seasons being fulfilled. You have walked through valleys, endured storms, and waited through nights that felt endless. But now the Spirit whispers, the old is complete. The new has begun. Heaven is aligning you with a chapter that has been waiting to open. Completion is not about perfection. It is about fullness. The work God began in you has not been abandoned. It has been carried to this very moment where endings meet beginnings. The wilderness always precedes the promised land. The cross always comes before the resurrection. And for you, chosen one, the waiting has been the bridge leading to breakthrough. Imagine a sculptor chiseling away at a block of stone. At first, it looks like random strikes, painful, senseless, even destructive. But with each cut, a figura emerges. When the last strike lands, what once looked broken is revealed as beauty. That is what God has been doing in your life. The process may have felt violent, but the purpose was always artistry. Now, the form is complete, and the masterpiece stands. I think of a chosen one who struggled with cycles, years of repeated mistakes, setbacks, and heartbreaks. She cried out for change, but felt trapped in repetition. Then one day, she realized the season was shifting. The things that once bound her no longer had the same grip. What had been an endless loop became a completed chapter. She stepped forward, lighter and freer, knowing she was walking into newness. The apostle wrote in Philippians, chapter 1, verse 6, "He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus." End quote. This is the promise. Nothing God starts remains unfinished. Your journey, though messy and unpredictable, is in His hands from beginning to end. The fact that you are still here is proof that the pen has not left the page. Picture a runner nearing the finish line. Muscles ache, lungs burn, and every step feels heavier than the last. Yet when the ribbon comes into view, strength rises. That final push carries the runner across, and with it comes joy, unspeakable. You are at that ribbon. You are crossing into what you were prepared for. Completion means freedom. It means you no longer circle the same mountains. It means you do not live as a prisoner of yesterday. It means you are stepping into a season of fulfilled promises. And the number that marks this moment is a declaration. Chosen one. Write this in the comments. 222. This is your prophetic act. It is not just a number, it is a seal. A symbol that you embrace, the completion of what has been and the arrival of what is next. When you type it, you are testifying that you are ready to step through the doorway of newness. Your story has not stalled, it has been completed in one chapter to begin the next. And what comes now will carry the fragrance of fulfillment. And never forget this, 222 is not a random number. It is a reminder of agreement. Heaven, earth, and your spirit in alignment. It is the sign that what was divided is now coming together. When you declare it, you are proclaiming that confusion gives way to clarity, wandering gives way to direction, and brokenness gives way to wholeness. You are testifying that the God who began your story is faithfully bringing every piece into completion. There are chains that do not simply bind an individual, they bind generations. Patterns repeat. Families walk through the same heartbreaks, the same addictions, the same cycles of poverty or fear. You may have looked at your family line and wondered why certain struggles seem to pass from one branch to another, like an inheritance no one wanted. But what you need to know is this: you were chosen to be the breaker of those chains. Not every story has to end the way it began. You are the living proof that generational curses meet their end when a chosen one rises. The struggles you have faced were not only about you, they were about your lineage. God marked you to stand as the interruption, the one who says, "It ends here." Imagine a river flowing through a valley. For centuries, it carves the same path, winding through the same channels. But one day, an earthquake shifts the ground, and the water finds a new course. From then on, the river flows differently, shaping the land in new ways. You are that earthquake. Your obedience shifts the flow. Your surrender changes the course. I recall the story of a chosen one whose family was marked by cycles of anger and broken relationships. He watched his father and grandfather both repeat the same destructive patterns. Fear gripped him, whispering that he would follow the same path. But one night in prayer, he heard God whisper, "The chain stops with you." That revelation gave him courage to step into healing, to forgive where bitterness once ruled, and to build a new legacy for his children. The Word of God reminds us in the book of Galatians, chapter 5, verse 1, "It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm, then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery." This is not just freedom for you alone, it is freedom for those who will come after you. Christ's work does not merely release you, it establishes a new inheritance for your bloodline. Where there was once slavery, there will be liberty. Where there was once darkness, there will be light. Picture a chain reaction in reverse. Instead of bondage spreading from one generation to another, blessing begins to ripple forward. What once held your family captive becomes the very testimony that propels them into faith. Children yet unborn will thank you for battles they never had to fight, because you fought them first. Do not underestimate the weight of your yes. It is bigger than your own comfort. It is larger than your own lifetime. The decisions you make in obedience carve new roads for those behind you. You may feel small, but heaven sees you as a turning point. Your courage becomes their inheritance. So if you feel the heaviness of battles that seem older than you, do not despair. You were handpicked for this very reason: to be the interruption, to break the cycle, to rewrite the story. Chains may have followed your family for generations, but they cannot withstand the anointing placed upon you. You are not bound to repeat history, you are called to create a new one. And heaven itself stands with you as you rise to break what has bound so many before. And when those chains fall, the sound will not just echo in your life, it will echo in eternity. Generations will rise in freedom because you dared to resist what once controlled them. This is legacy. This is inheritance. You are not only free, you are a liberator, a carrier of breakthrough for many. Glory is not light and effortless. Glory has weight. To carry the presence and purpose of God is to walk with both honor and burden. Many desire the shine of glory, but are unprepared for the cost it demands. You, chosen one, are learning that the weight of glory is not meant to crush you, but to shape you into a vessel capable of holding it. Think of a crown fashioned from pure gold. It gleams in the light. But what few consider is its heaviness. A crown is not a feather. It presses against the head, reminding the wearer of the responsibility it represents. So too is the anointing upon your life. It is beautiful, but it carries gravity. It requires strength, humility, and surrender. Consider the prophet Ezekiel, who fell face down when the glory of the Lord appeared, or Moses, whose face shone after encountering God on the mountain, yet who carried the weight of leading a people through wilderness. Glory is radiant, but it is never casual. It demands reverence. It transforms the one who bears it. I remember a chosen one who prayed earnestly for more of God's presence. She longed for visions, miracles, and prophetic words. But when the presence came in full weight, she realized it required more than excitement. It required endurance. Her prayers deepened. Her lifestyle shifted. Her priorities changed. The weight pressed her, but it also purified her. And in time, that very weight released a fragrance of authority that drew others closer to God. The Apostle Paul wrote in the second book of Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 17, "For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all." Lo, troubles feel crushing in the moment, but compared to glory, they are light. The cost you pay in tears, prayers, and sacrifice is not wasted. It is producing something eternal, something far greater than you can measure now. Imagine a pot being fired in a kiln. The heat is intense, the process long, but when it emerges, it is strong enough to carry water without cracking. Without the fire, the clay remains fragile. Without the weight, the vessel cannot fulfill its purpose. Your trials have been the kiln, and the weight of glory is the water you are now ready to carry. Or picture a mountain climber ascending higher and higher. The air thins. The climb grows more difficult, and every step demands strength. Yet when the summit is reached, the view reveals the journey's worth. Carrying glory feels like climbing with less oxygen, but the vision from the top is breathtaking. Do not despise the heaviness you feel. It is not punishment. It is preparation for glory. The very pressure that tempts you to give up is the proof that something greater is being entrusted to you. Glory is weighty because it is holy. It does not rest on casual shoulders. It rests on chosen ones. So when the burden feels heavy, remember, you are not being crushed. You are being crowned, and the weight you carry is not to break you, but to prove you strong enough to shine with eternal glory. And one day, you will look back and realize the weight you carried was the very sign of your calling. Without it, you would not have grown. Without it, you would not have been trusted. The heaviness you feel now will become the testimony of how God refined you for eternal purpose. This battle is yours, chosen one, not because you picked it, but because you were born for it. Every trial, every storm, every unseen struggle has been training your hands for war and your heart for endurance. You are not standing here by accident. You are positioned by design. The enemy has tried to intimidate you with shadows, but shadows only prove that there is light behind you. He has whispered that you are too weak. Yet weakness has been the very place God's strength has shown itself strongest. The truth is simple. You are not abandoned in this fight. Heaven stands behind you. The hosts of angels surround you, and the voice of God has already declared victory over your life. Think of Joshua before the walls of Jericho. The city was fortified, the gates unshakable. Yet God did not arm his people with siege weapons. He armed them with a trumpet, with a shout, with faith. Their obedience became their weapon. And walls no man could topple crumbled at the sound of their surrender. That is your story too. You may feel under-equipped, but heaven supplies what earth cannot. Or picture a lighthouse battered by waves. Storm after storm slams against its frame, but it remains unmoved. Its light pierces the chaos, guiding sailors safely to shore. That lighthouse is you. The storm does not diminish your purpose, it proves it. I recall the testimony of a chosen one who faced betrayal after betrayal. Friends turned cold, opportunities collapsed, and loneliness became her closest companion. She thought the battle had already broken her. Yet one night, as she prayed through tears, she felt the whisper of God, "You are still standing," and standing is victory. From that day forward, she fought not for survival, but from a place of assurance that victory was already hers. Scripture says in the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 9, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God is with you." This is not a suggestion. It is a command wrapped in comfort. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward in spite of it, knowing who fights beside you. And now, chosen one, here is where your part matters. Press like not as a casual gesture, but as if you are lifting your shield in battle, declaring, "I am still in the fight." Share this message the way a warrior sounds the horn to rally others on the field, and write your comment as if carving your name into the wall of history, marking that you stood when others bowed. Finally, subscribe, not as routine, but as a vow to keep drawing strength from this fire whenever the war feels heavy. Do you feel the imagery? Every act you take is more than action. It is symbolism. A shield raised, a horn sounded, a vow renewed. These are not obligations. They are choices. Voluntary, beautiful, holy choices that testify you belong to the rising army of God. So take your place. Warrior, this battle is yours, but victory is assured, and your every step forward is proof that heaven's decree will not fail. And never forget, warrior, every battle you endure is not just for yourself, it is for those who will walk behind you. Your perseverance becomes their inheritance. The scars you carry are not marks of defeat, but medals of honor. They tell the story that you fought, you endured, and you prevailed. The trials you have walked through were never random. They were refining fires. What looked like attempts to destroy you were actually instruments that shaped you. Every heartbreak, every delay, every betrayal pressed against you like a hammer striking metal. But instead of shattering you, it forged you into something unbreakable. Consider the process of steel. Iron is placed in the fire until it glows red, then beaten into shape with relentless blows. The heat and the striking do not ruin it, they strengthen it. The steel that emerges is tougher than before. That is your story. What you endured has not weakened you. It has made you unshakable. You have felt moments when the burden seemed unbearable, nights where silence screamed louder than answers, days when even breathing felt like a battle. Yet you rose again. Each time you stood up, you proved that nothing, no weapon, no whisper, no wound could undo what God has sealed within you. I remember a chosen one who lost nearly everything: job, friends, health. To those watching, it looked like defeat. But in the middle of that valley, she discovered a strength she had never known. She prayed not because she felt strong, but because it was all she had left. And in that weakness, she encountered the unshakable presence of God. Today, her life shines not because she avoided storms, but because she stood through them. The Apostle Paul wrote in the letter to the Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 1, "Let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith." This race is not a sprint. It is endurance. It is pressing forward when the road feels endless, when others give up, when your own strength runs out. But perseverance is not about gritting your teeth. It is about fixing your eyes. Your unshakable nature comes not from stubbornness, but from focus, keeping your gaze on the one who cannot be moved. Imagine a tree rooted by a river. Storms rage, winds howl, yet the tree does not fall. Why? Because its roots run deep. You are that tree. Life's storms did not uproot you because your roots have been driven into the living water. You may have bent, but you did not break. Or picture a mountain, weathered by centuries of storms, rain, and fire. Its surface bears scars, but its core remains immovable. That is the spirit within you. Circumstances may alter your surface, but they cannot shift the foundation God has set in place. You are not unstoppable because of arrogance, but because of resilience. You are not unshakable because of pride, but because your foundation is divine. Every blow that tried to break you only proved that you were built for more. So when you feel the echoes of past battles, let them remind you, you are still here. You are still standing. You are still chosen. Trials refined you, but they did not define you. Instead, they revealed that you are a soul marked by God, unshakable and unstoppable in His strength. And now, your scars are no longer symbols of pain. They are proof of endurance. Each one tells the story of a battle survived, of a night endured, of a faith that refused to die. What once seemed like weakness has become your strength. You are not fragile porcelain. You are tempered steel, carrying resilience the world cannot explain, and a glory the darkness cannot extinguish. Crowned and commissioned, that is who you are now. This is not just a title, it is an identity sealed by heaven. The journey you have walked, the valleys endured, the storms survived, have all been leading you here. You are not stepping timidly into destiny. You are stepping with authority, wearing the crown of one who has been tested and found faithful. The crown is more than a symbol of honor. It is a commission, a declaration that you have been entrusted with purpose greater than yourself. Crowns are not given for decoration. They are placed as marks of responsibility. When God crowns you, He does not merely acknowledge your survival. He releases you to carry fire for generations to come. Think of Esther, once hidden in obscurity, now crowned in a palace. Her crown was not for her comfort, it was for her people's deliverance. Or Joseph, once chained in a prison, suddenly elevated to a throne. His authority was not for pride, but to preserve nations. That is the pattern of God. The crown always carries commission. I recall a chosen one who once doubted she would ever rise from obscurity. Her life had been marked by rejection and silence. But one day, the season shifted. She realized the battles had not been to break her, but to prepare her. When her moment came, she stepped into influence that reached far beyond what she imagined. The same will be true for you. The authority on your life will stretch further than your own reach. The writings of Peter, in his first letter, chapter 5, verse 4, say it clearly. And when the chief shepherd appears, you will receive the crown of glory that will never fade away. This is the promise that steadies your steps. The crown you wear is not temporary. It is not fragile like earthly honors that tarnish and fade. It is eternal, sealed by the chief shepherd himself. And with that crown comes the commission to shine, to stand, to carry glory that points others back to him. Imagine a torchbearer in a relay. The flame they hold is not theirs alone. It must be carried forward and passed on. You are that torchbearer. The crown upon your life is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of countless others who will be touched by your light. Or picture a bridge stretching over a wide chasm. People cross safely, not because of their own strength, but because the bridge was built to endure weight. Your life, crowned and commissioned, becomes that bridge. Others will walk across the strength God has forged in you. Do not shrink back now. You did not endure all of this just to stand still. You are crowned to move, crowned to influence, crowned to release heaven on earth. The commission is clear. Go forth carrying the fire that was never meant to stay hidden. The crown on your head is not fragile, it is fire forged. And the commission in your spirit is not shallow, it is eternal. You are no longer the one wondering if you are chosen. You are the one crowned and commissioned to lead, to shine, and to carry God's purpose for generations to come. And as you walk forward, remember, the crown is not only for you to wear, but for others to see. It is a testimony that God raises the overlooked and strengthens the weary. Your commission is not a burden but a blessing. It is heaven's way of saying, you are ready, you are trusted, you are sent. No, chosen one. You have walked through every valley of this message. From the moment heaven whispered your name to the moment you stood crowned and commissioned, you have seen yourself in the hidden seasons, the battles, the weight of glory, and finally, the victory that marks your destiny. This is not just a script, it is your story. And heaven has chosen this exact moment to remind you that you are not ordinary. You are called, you are sealed, you are sent. Now, take this fire and do not keep it locked inside. Press, like as if you were planting your banner in the ground, declaring to all of heaven and hell that you belong to the army of light. This is not about numbers, it is about your witness, your mark in eternity. Share this message as though you were handing a torch to another weary traveler in the dark. You never know whose chains will fall because you chose to pass the flame. That one act may be the very spark that saves a life. And do not leave silently. Write your comment as if it were your personal declaration carved into stone. It could be as simple as, I will not turn back. Or, my crown is secure. Those words will not just stay on a screen, they will echo in your own heart, reinforcing your decision. Finally, subscribe, not as routine, but as a covenant. It is like returning again and again to the well that never runs dry, ensuring you remain connected to the flow of strength, encouragement, and fire for the battles ahead. This is your moment. Rise, shine, and let your crown testify. The story does not end here. It begins here.